Well, it's Saturday, but today is going to be a very bit short a review. Now, the reason I did that is because I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, so I had no time. But for today's episode, I decided, let's follow more with, of course, of the New Japan G1 Climax with Day 9. Now, we're going to focus, I believe, on A block matches. Let me look again. Yep, only the A block matches. So we'll see how that rolls up. So we're gonna see from A to B from there, and then we move on to Collision. We have some interesting matches that took place. We have, of course, the main event features Darby Allin and Mark Briscoe teaming up once again, but this time with FTR to take on members of the Undisputed Kingdom and, of course, Beast Mortos. We also have, of course, a three-way match between Tomohiro Ishii, Claudio Castelloni, and Lee Moriarty, and other cool matches as well. And then, of course, we cap up with our episode with some news updates. We only have one upcoming event, and this one is from NWA, and other interesting developments, and I believe we're going to be discussing along the way. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was not put on this episode, I can put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do, of course, the Unagi Sayaka Watch, and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be gaining a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to get this show on the road. So let's begin, of course, with New Japan's G1 Climax. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, we are now in day 9 of the G1 Climax, and we are going to focus only on the A block matches. Now, throughout the entirety of the event, throughout the G1, current IWGP Global Champion and the current participant of the B block in the G1, David Finlay, was joining commentary because, of course, there were certain wrestlers that he would support about the support in this match, and I'll explain which ones. You probably would guess. Our first match, we are going with Cal Newman versus Jake Lee. Now, of course, Jake Lee has not been in the bar, has been not progressing ever since the start. Now, we know he picked up his first win not too long ago, but however, since then he's been losing matches. But of course, I did mention Keno made fun of him, knowing that he's getting himself beat up. But however, he's facing against Cal Newman. Now, Cal Newman, he is a sensational wrestler. We have seen how much he has grown, but that did not do any well for him because Jake Lee was the one who took the victory when he applied a big shot boot right in his face, and just like that, he gained 2 points. So at this moment, I believe he has 2 wins and 4 losses. And the same thing goes with Cal Newman, 4 points. So you don't need to hear the record on that one. Our next match, we have Evil versus the Great Khan. Now, much like what we saw with Jake Lee, he was also with 2 points. But we know when it comes to Evil, we know he has that moron, the spoiler, the dick, getting involved every single time. Not to mention referee being attacked and all that. But that did not go to Evil's plan. Now, I did mention this before. Evil was undefeated until now. So you can say, finally, he's been taken out. So basically, his undefeated streak has been broken, thanks to Great Khan when he applied the Eliminator. Now, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, some of you may question, will this predict cause a problem for Evil moving forward? Well, that depends on how he progresses. Now, there have been wrestlers that were able to bounce back after this loss in tournaments like these. Others, well, let's just say they scaled down. We saw that before with Azuki at the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. She was undefeated until she lost to Kamitani, and that led her to lose matches. Many people thought she was the fan favorite to win the whole thing, but that's how it was. So right now, Evil has finally lost one match, but we'll see where that goes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his revenge on Khan for that loss. So we'll see what happens down the road. Now, this one I'm sure David Finlay, who was at the commentary booth with Walker himself, Gabe Kidd takes on Naito. Of course, Gabe Kidd, he's a loudmouth prick who would say crap about what he thinks. He thinks he's the shit. He thinks that he's the real future. But he thinks he can take on Naito. He thinks that he can do it all. But Naito, all he needs to do is be tranquilo. That's all he needs to do. Now, of course, I'm sure Gabe Kidd is well aware that Naito will apply the Destino. That's one of his main weapons. However, there's always the unexpected way to win. It's when he applied the inside cradle. And luckily for Naito, he was able to get out of the ring knowing that Gabe Kidd will go on a temper tantrum, which he did, taking out members of the Young Lions and other people. Knowing too well he's pissed that he lost to someone, he believes that he is, how do I say, obsolete, that he needs to die and all this other stuff. But that's how he goes. So at this time, both men have 6 points each, with 3 wins and 3 losses. So we'll see how things will progress with these guys down the road. Now, our next match, we have Shota Umino versus Sanada. Now, I cannot recall if those two ever crossed paths with each other, but however, you would think that what's his name? That Shota will try to pick up a win against a guy like Sanada due to the fact that he's a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. But that's exactly what happened. Sanada, in the other hand, was able to outsmart Shota when he applied the bridge, and just like that, he wins. He gets his next 2 points. Now, the record right now for both are 6 points each. So that means they have 3 wins and 3 losses. Now, our main event, we have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo Takagi. Now, many people often said over time that Zack Sabre must be the fan favorite to win the tournament. Shingo is, on the other hand, is one of those popular wrestlers we can get behind because he is one of the most stronger wrestlers we have witnessed. Now, he's not the kind of guy who's afraid to face a guy like Naito in the past if he does win the tournament. But of course, Zack Sabre Jr. will do whatever it takes to keep him down as possible. But you cannot deny the power of Shingo, the way he takes matters in his own hands, and that's exactly what he did. He applied the last of the dragon, and just like that, he wins his next 2 points. So right now, for him, he has 6 in total with 3 wins and 3 losses. As for Zack Sabre Jr., he only has 8 points. That means he has 4 wins and 2 losses. So we'll see how progressional we go with them. Now, I do know we will expect another G1 event, and I'm sure the B Block will be involved on that one, so we'll talk more at the end of this video. But as of right now, let's move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision, my bad. Why am I saying Dynamite? But anyway, Collision. It opened up, of course, with the Patriarchy. As you know, they won the AEW World Trios titles in a vacancy against the Bang Bang Gang. More specifically, Juice Robinson, Colton, and Austin. Now, of course, Christian Cage presented the belts to Nick Wayne, but however, he decided not to present one to Killswitch. Now, I think many of you may think, is there a possibility that Killswitch will turn against Christian Cage? It is the possibility, because we know there were moments he rejects him at some points. But of course, Malachi Black and Brody King showed up. And of course, Christian, being the arrogant ass that he is, talking about people's dead fathers and all that, he thought that they were outnumbered. But they forgot about Buddy Matthews. So he showed up to get a measure of revenge. Now remember, the House of Black did have an opportunity to be number one contenders thanks to Christian Cage. Now this is the perfect opportunity. While of course everybody was running away from both groups, Nick Wayne got caught by Kip Sabian and tossed back into the ring. And then of course the Bang Bang Gang tossed Nick Wayne's behind back in the ring until he was taken out by the House of Black. And of course, that little weasel, Nigel, crying like a little girl, watches it on. But the real question we need to ask ourselves, we do know that the Bang Bang Gang would want a measure of revenge against the Patriarchy for screwing them the last time. Same thing with the House of Black. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a three-way match for the trios titles. So we will see how that will go on from here. Now, as you know, last week we saw on Ring of Honor, we saw Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs. Ross and Marshall became the new Ring of Honor Trios champion. And then, of course, proud Texans that they are. But they're joined by another fellow in Texas. You guys know him too, Sammy Guevara. So basically, he wants to side with them. I think they're like trying to pull like this, how to say, us Texans need to be strong and stand by each other. But Sammy is determined to learn a thing from these guys. Of course, you cannot deny Dustin Rhodes, who, of course, he runs his own school. Ross and Marshall come from a legendary family. They are a royalty. So I'm sure he'll learn a lot from them as we go. So we'll see how that progresses. Now our next match, well, this is our first opening match. We have Mistico and Hologram taking on the premier athletes, Tony Nese and Daivari. Now, of course, Mark Sterling would say stupid things about them that they don't fit in their parameters. But come on, you got two high flyers coming in. I mean, we saw how Hologram did last week. That was pretty awesome. Mistico, legendary, How can Mark Sterling say they're not in their league? Well, I have to say both Nese and Daivari are not in their league. And of course, it was a 450 splash by Hologram onto Daivari to pick up the win. So it was a great match. I loved it. Now, moving on. Before the next match, we see Mariah May making her way to the commentary, and then she started throwing a little fit with Tony Schiavone, while that moron, the ass kisser of the Patriarchy, Nigel McGuinness, was making fun of him. I mean, one of these days, Nigel's going to get his ass whooped. So we'll see what that goes. But however, Toni Storm showed up and attacked her. So basically, they were going a few rounds. But Toni Storm ended up in a match against Rochelle Chanel, who we haven't seen for quite some time. Those who never seen her before, she was that one fashionistas girl wrestler during the Daily Place era during the pandemic. She also wrestles with Mission Pro Wrestling, which is Thunder Rosa's promotion. But however, Toni Storm took her out with the Storm Zero, and just like that, the rest is all history. Now our next match, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Brian Cage. Now, Brian Cage, as you know, stuck his nose where it didn't belong to agitate Kyle Fletcher for his feud now with MJF, saying things about Will Ospreay and all this. Now, you would think that Brian Cage, being all strong and muscle and all, would be able to defeat a guy like Kyle Fletcher. Now, we do know Kyle Fletcher does have that killer instinct, and he was able to defeat Brian Cage with a tombstone pile driver. However, he did posted out a promo and he talked to MJF. So basically, MJF sent out a message. So we'll see what happens this coming Wednesday. Now, Renee Paquette conducts an interview with Jeff Jarrett. Now, of course, after what happened this past Wednesday, Jeff Jarrett, as you know, he felt that he did not got what he wanted. But at the same time, he is satisfied to know that neither did Hangman. But he feels that Brian Cage cannot let his guard down or try to take things lightly. So basically, he proposes to him that this match they will have together this coming Wednesday on Dynamite is going to be a anything goes match. So, I mean, this is going to be bloody and brutal. So we're just going to see what happens. But I'm sure Jeff Jarrett is going to tell everybody, of course, Lethal, Sanjay, and Karen not to get involved. So this is going to be a very interesting match to watch. So we'll see. Now, our next match, we have a three-way match. Claudia Castagnoli, Lee Moriarty, and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, of course, there'll be moments with Ishii and Claudio clashing. I mean, they're two of the toughest SOBs. Lee Moriarty, one of the best technical wrestlers we have seen so far, and our current ROH PR champion. But, however, it was, of course, Claudio with the European uppercut that put away Lee Moriarty, and uno, dos, tres, it's over. Just like that. But, however, this later revealed that this match was going to be a bit of a number one contendership for the AEW Continental Championship that currently is held by Kazuchika Okada. So we'll see where that goes from here. Now, as you all saw this past Thursday in Ring of Honor, we saw Top Flight with a brand new flight attendant, and that flight attendant is none other than Layla Gray. So basically, she is on board, but however, they were interrupted by MXM, saying that, of course, what TSA stands for, that sort of thing. And so we wouldn't be surprised if those two will clash at some point. So we'll see where that goes. Our next match, we have Thunder Rosa's versus Tail Valkyrie. Now, last time Tail Valkyrie got involved in Thunder Rosa's business when she was dealing with Deonna Purrazzo. So this is a bit of a measure of revenge. But of course, Tail's husband, Johnny, was going to get involved. But in the end, it was the Cobra Clutch by Thunder Rosa that put away Tail Valkyrie. And then, of course, she called out Deonna Purrazzo. And then they decided next week in Arlington, Texas, it's going to be a Texas Bull Rope match. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, our main event, we have Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, and FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler taking on Beast Mortos and the guys from the Undisputed Kingdom, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Roderick Strong. Now, remember, Beast Mortos did have defeated, of course, Mark Briscoe recently, so there is a possibility he could challenge for the ROH World title, but that hasn't been said. But of course, this is a great match. I like the teamwork with FTR and FTR, Darby Allin, and Mark Briscoe can do. I mean, we do know that Briscoe does have a relationship with FTR because him and his late brother Jay had one of the best matches ever against FTR. But it was, in fact, first it was a suplex on Bennett. Then it was, of course, a splash, then a froggy bow, then finally a coffin drop, and then, of course, it was Cash that picked up the win onto Taven, and just like that, it was over. Now, FTR was about to do a little promo until they were interrupted by the Acclaim. Now, remember, the Acclaim have dibs on the AEW World Tag Team titles, and FTR decided to cut in front of the line. So basically, things were becoming out of control, and then, of course, Mark Briscoe tried to make peace. He's trying to make reasons, saying, guys, this is what the Elite wants. So basically, he's saying, instead of fighting each other, we need to work together, because they know that the Elite are determined to take over AEW at any way possible. So we'll see what happens down the road. But I wouldn't be surprised either if Wembley Stadium ends up having another three-way match for those tag titles. So like I mentioned, it's a possibility with the trios belt. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we'll end things with AEW Collision. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. Now, as you know, NWA will have the NWA 76 on August 31st in Philadelphia. Now, two things have been announced. The first one, as you know, the NWA Women's World Tag Team titles will be defended. The current champions, King Bees, will take on the It Girls. Now, I don't know who they are, but it was revealed that it was Samantha Starr and Um, Ella Envy. Now, remember, Ella Envy was trying to get involved with Pretty Empower, but they kicked her. They didn't want her involved anymore. So basically, she is now the new, wants to strike on her own. But however, that's not the only thing that's been announced. Now, as you know, we have the Burke Invitational Gauntlet match. Three names have been mentioned: Misty Marks, Tiffany Nieves, and Hollywood Haley J. So those are the three names have been mentioned. I'm sure there'll be more to come and more matches announced. Now let's talk about certain developments that have been mentioned. Now, as you know, in a recent news update, Go Shiozaki has been injured and he will not participate in this year's N1 victory. However, during a press conference, it was announced that his protege, well, not protege, his teammate, Asushi Kotoge will be his replacement. Now, Kotoge, as you know, had an impressive time at the World Tag League they had last year, early this year. As you know, he's been transitioning both to junior and to heavyweight himself. So basically, that's going to be an obvious choice. Now, relation to Noah, as you know, now Michimaru Fuji was involved as a guest commentator in the Abema broadcasting for SummerSlam. However, there was a mention that he would like to face against Gunther. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther makes his way to Japan or Naomichi makes his way to the U.S. So we'll see where that leads. Now, in the last episode, I mentioned Penta El Cero Miedo filed some trademarks. Well, it turns out his brother also did the same thing too. So this is what he trademarked: Rey Fuego, King Fuego, and of course Fuego. So those are what has been mentioned for that. Now, as you know, we've been seeing former WWE wrestlers that used to wrestle in NXT in certain places. Well, one particular name, Zion Quinn, has appeared in TNA tapings. Now, I wouldn't be certain when he'll be arriving. I wouldn't be if it was for this Saturday. So we'll see what happens down the road. Now, I did not see the entirety of the event of SummerSlam, but however, Fightful Select reports that The Abyss, who is serving as a producer with WWE, has revealed that he was the producer behind the CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. So it would make sense, but yeah. So I'm very happy to hear that. Now, you guys remember Yoshiko Hasegawa. Yoshiko Hasegawa, who recently left Gunbai Pro due to the fact that they went independent, is now as a freelancer. Now, recently she has won today in Japan some championship gold from the promotion Best Body Japan Pro Wrestling. She and a partner named Arina Yamanaka actually won the BWB Yoshi tag team titles, and their opponents that they defeated for was Cherry and Sanae Takeyabayashi. Now, those who don't know, Sanae actually appeared in New Blood last year. So yes, so I'm very happy for her that she's taking her new timing as a freelancer. So hopefully we see more of her. Now, finally, those who know this or not, as we speak, Stardom will have their much upcoming event as well, featuring the Cosmic Angels challenging for the artist belts. However, Sayaka Kurara actually said something about, of course, her teammates, the core members of the Cosmic Angels. And this is what she had to say. This was from yesterday, I believe. Good evening. Tomorrow in Hamamatsu tournament, I'm teaming with Sayaka and Unaman. And Tamu and Atsupa will be in the artist battle. The three best and strongest will take the belts tomorrow, and one day the three of us will challenge for them together. Hamamatsu, let's win. Well, that's very nice of her. She really wants to challenge for those belts. Tam did respond to that. Let me pull it up on the X account real quick. Yeah, this is what she said. Don't say, don't just say someday. But once Tamu and the others become champions, I want them to be the first to announce their challenge. So come and challenge us tomorrow and take home a huge victory as a souvenir. I'm looking forward to it. So she's welcoming, of course, Sayaka Kurara and the um, um, Sakura and of course Unaman to challenge. So hopefully that happens. So we just wait and see. I think that's pretty much it. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I did learn, of course, there's going to be another G1 event, I believe. I'm not sure if it's going to be just the B block matches or both blocks in the same event. So we'll see what happens. I will make that as a top priority. Now, I'm a bit behind on certain events. Mostly, I missed out 3 days of Marvelous. I'm considering either doing all of them all in one swoop. Just recently found out that the new Got to Move show has been added, the final countdown part of the Road to Corkin. We'll see what happens. I'm willing to, how do I say, see how things will go from here on out watching this. I'm so excited. Um, so basically, tomorrow may be all about the Japanese wrestling scene. For those who didn't know, I did learn now that we are now beginning with the other round robin tournament with Pro Wrestling Noah. We have, of course, the N1 victory. So those that are not familiarized with it, the N1 victory is the same thing as the G1. Winner will get a shot of the GHC heavyweight championship, and I believe the current winner, I believe it has to be Keito Kiyomiya. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, I will see you guys in the next episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.